Now Beniamino Garofalo, CEO, Santa Margherita, Gruppo Vinicolo.
Benvenuto Beniamino.
Buongiorno, buongiorno a tutti.
Eccoci qua, sei stato chiamato.
All right, when we talked about Pinot Grigio, we've heard a lot about you. And something which is very interesting to analyze is consumption by younger people. Of course, there are differences among generations, so there's maybe a difference of 20 years in age, and the difference in consumption is so great that companies may find it difficult to act accordingly. What do you think about it? Well, I think that what happened in 2020 and has shown us that something was going on in wine companies. And this made us think about how to tackle the changes in consumers' behavior and how to hand down our important history in the sector of wine to the next generations, how to attract consumers and build a new base of potential clients working on the brand and do so according to the needs of a more modern consumer. Pinot Grigio and Santa Margherita are traditional products. We celebrated our 60th anniversary some days ago in 1935. The company was founded by Gaetano Marzotti, our founder, who was a pioneer. He produced a wine with characteristics which are more modern. In the 1960s, it was a product. It became a product for conviviality, not only a table wine. So change is something which is part of our history. This group has an international presence. We develop 70% of our business abroad and 30% at the domestic level. Our presence in the USA market, which is the first market in the world of wine, is very well established. We even have a branch, and here there's a person who has accompanied the growth of our brand there over the years. And this allows us, this presence also allows us to understand global trends before others do. I think this is a great advantage because not all countries, not all geographical areas consume wine in the same way. And being there, being in the United States, allows us to take a closer look at the market and to understand how consumers change and how to reach out to them. In 2020, the pandemic has accelerated some processes. We need to improve our B2B product attitude because we need to do branding. We need to understand the consumer and how the consumer evolves. some trends which were there in 2020 will remain in the next years. For example, the growth of the digital sector for us at Santa Margherita, especially for indirect stakeholders. Digital is not a way to balance the loss in the HoReCa sector. The digital is a way to communicate to wine lovers. It was necessary to find new channels to communicate with our consumers other than HoReCa. And these are channels that can be used even when the pandemic is over. This channel will continue to grow, maybe at a different speed, at a different pace. But this trend is here to stay. Those who decide to buy wines online will continue to do so. Consumers developed behaviors which were different from the past. Staying home means eating home, and maybe you want to have a good wine for lunch. And maybe we watch tutorials on YouTube to learn new recipes. Maybe we want to have good quality wines to drink together with your meal. And consumers looked for well-established brands because they had a heritage, a history. They tried to duplicate the by-the-glass experience at the restaurant, at home. And I strongly believe that conviviality is part of the wine world, and the HoReCa sector is our ambassador. Restaurant owners are very important because wine is drunk in the company of friends and family, and I'm sure that this dimension will be back. Maybe it will be organized in a different way, but it will come back, and we must be ready to this challenge. As for Pinot Grigio is concerned, it was one of the group's assets even in 2020, because we've been a performance at the global level of our Pinot Grigio wine in countries where we are leaders, such as the United States, Canada, and Australia. And we've seen an amazing performance, which have continued to grow after years of consolidation of the products on the market. This was due to these reasons, because the behavior of the American consumer was the same as the European consumer. We all were subjected to the same rules, the same restrictions. So in Italy, the USA, and China, everybody stayed at home, and they started to buy their wine online and celebrate at home what they used to celebrate in restaurants and cafes. So we have 10 wineries in regions with a long tradition of enology and production of wine. This is our heritage. Our company is led by the third generation of the Marzotto family. And over the years, we've tried to acquire wineries with types of grapes which could become new trends, such as Lugana and Vermentino. For some years now, these wines have reported double-digit growth, even during the pandemic. So our group has a diverse portfolio of products. It is present in several different countries. 70% of our sales is abroad. And we have the ability to be multi-channel. and we cover different segments of consumption in the premium and upper premium segments. And this was a benefit also in 2020, when the closure of the HoReCa sector did not really impair our growth. The EBITDA continued to grow. There was a double-digit growth. So what do we need to do? Understanding the consumer better and favor mergings and acquisitions. Diversify your presence at the geographical presence. And I think we should also work on improving our skills and allowing contamination, as Matteo defined that. Why am I using this word, contamination? Because the world of wine has a history. For the Italian economy, it is an extremely important sector, and it is vital to stick to our history has taught us, but we also need innovation. So I think contamination is the key word here. So we need to keep the original DNA of companies, but you must add something, add innovation. Okay, let's talk about figures now. So there was a single-digit decrease in your margins last year, but what is going on this year? Well, everything is going well, beyond my expectations. Our performance is exceptional in all geographical areas. There was a bounce upward. I don't know whether this is structural or not, but it is an actual growth. There was a bounce in countries where the vaccination campaign went quite fast. And in all countries, we've seen a more positive situation, even at the domestic level, where the international tourism has not really recovered. And I'm happy that the world of events has resumed its activities. And the outcomes are better than 2020, but also than 2019. All brands have grown. Our budgets, our multi-annual plans were drafted in October 2020 before the second wave of COVID-19. So I put myself in the shoes of people who do forecasts, and I understand that this is so complicated because there is no midterm or long-term visibility into the future. But I think the wine sector is reacting well. We're going back to conviviality. As for 2021 is concerned, I am optimistic. In 2020, there were so many restrictions in Europe and in Italy, and things did not really went quite well. So 2021, with less restrictions, will be a more positive year. We will benchmark our outcomes to 2019 because 2020 was a completely different year. It was an exceptional year. And I think our margins will grow, our profits will grow, and we hope our outcomes will be even better than the previous year. So your shareholders will be satisfied, right? Well, this almost never happened, but probably yes, this time. The last question. You've mentioned the indirect players, but for your group, does direct e-commerce, direct sales, do they make sense? Well, you've been speaking about this for long, and research shows that the digital world for the wine sector is something to be strengthened. It is an actual asset. And talking about CRM, talking about consumers, As for wine is concerned, I think that all companies must have a channel to communicate directly with their consumers. In the world of wine, we have partners which were used, sorry about this term, to add to our sales. But they are a way to tell our brand story and to increase the awareness and the equity of our brands into these channels. I think that a company, and this is all done digitally, I think that a company cannot replace online experts. I think that we must establish new win-win partnerships with these experts. I think that companies can offer consumers an exclusivity which more generalized vehicle cannot really offer. Maybe a wine club can be a good vehicle for the company to communicate, a good tool to communicate with consumers, offering services and products which are more customized and consumer tailored. Thank you, Beniamino. This was really interesting.